Here I want to give a simple little guide to tell you whether or not your answer is correct, depending on the types of multiplication and division you're doing. That this will be more clear as I go through it. So I'm going to just choose here x to represent any number. And what we're going to say is that if you have a negative x, and I'll do this in red. So we have a negative number, and we want to multiply a positive number, and I'll have the second number be y. So we have first number and second number is y. The result will always be negative. And if we have a negative number times another negative number, the result will always be positive. And it doesn't matter what order any of this goes in. So it could be, this could be plus, and this could be minus, and the answer will still be minus. And now, if you're given two positive numbers multiplied by one another, you know that the answer to this is always going to be positive. And so now I'm just going to make a little grid here, so it's very easy to represent this. Okay, so at the top of this grid, and this grid is going to be for multiplication. At the top of this grid, we're going to have positive and negative. And inside this grid, we will have what the result is going to be for each. And this is something always to remember. So for multiplication, when you have two positive numbers, the answer will be positive. When you have a positive number and a negative number, the answer will always be negative. And when you have two negative numbers, the answers will always be positive. Okay, now that is for multiplication. So let's do the same thing for division, and I'm going to be using again these new variables here, x, y, to represent a first number and a second number. So if you are using division and you have this first number is negative, and we're going to do this time divided by a positive number, you know that the answer will always be negative. And if you have a negative number divided by another negative number, you know that the answer will always be positive. And if you have two positive numbers, the answer again will always be positive. And so what do you notice about this? Well, we can say right here that this rule that we found from multiplication, that two positives makes positive, two negatives makes positive, and positive and a negative always makes a negative, is the same for both division and multiplication. So for both division and multiplication, these rules apply. So don't get confused when you or tripped up when you see a division sign or a multiplication sign. Just memorize this table for one of them, and you'll be able to apply it to both.